The lighthouse in his heart. In a small coastal town where waves crashed day and night against rugged rocks and the cries of seagulls echoed in the open air, there lived a boy named Thomas. In his neighborhood, he was known for his bright, mischievous eyes and a smile that radiated warmth like the morning sun. Yet behind that cheerful appearance lay worries few knew about. Thomas's family lived in a modest wooden house by the harbor. His father, Mr. Thompson, was a skilled fisherman, but his work was unpredictable. Sometimes he would spend an entire week at sea and return empty-handed because of storms or poor catches. His mother, Mrs. Thompson, worked at a small seaside diner serving tourists, but her earnings were just enough to keep food on the table. Each morning, before dawn's light reached the ocean, Thomas awoke to the hushed, worried voices of his parents in the kitchen. They whispered about overdue bills, dwindling food supplies, and the coming winter when tourists would be few. Lying in bed, Thomas felt his heart tighten, realizing how much weight his parents carried. Life in the coastal town seemed peaceful from the outside, but for his family, each day was a quiet battle for survival. Thomas's school sat atop a small hill, overlooking the harbor and the sails glinting far out at sea. Each morning, he walked along the stone-paved road by the shore, breathing in the scent of salt and dried fish. One day, as he climbed the stone steps to the schoolyard, he saw a group of classmates taunting a thin boy with oversized glasses and a limp in his step. The boy's name was Peter. Newly arrived in town with his mother, and since his first day at school, he had been a target for bullies. Peter stood frozen, clutching his bag tightly, eyes cast downward, while the others sneered. Without thinking, Thomas stepped forward, positioning himself between Peter and the bullies. "That's enough. Leave him alone," he said firmly. The group grumbled but backed off. Peter looked up, eyes glistening behind his glasses. Thomas smiled, giving his shoulder a reassuring pat. "From now on, we'll walk to school together. No one's going to bother you." Peter nodded faintly, a weak smile breaking through. On the way home, Peter confided that he had been born with a leg condition and couldn't see the blackboard clearly. Because of that, he often wrote slowly and became the subject of mockery. Thomas listened closely, realizing that even in their small coastal town, everyone had unseen battles to fight. Despite his new friendship, Thomas had his own struggles. In class, he worked hard but often found his mind drifting to worries at home. Numbers and formulas blurred before his eyes, replaced by images of his parents at the kitchen table, anxious about bills and empty nets. Mathematics felt like a towering wall he could never climb, no matter how hard he tried. One afternoon after class, instead of heading home, Thomas approached his teacher. "Ms. Adams, Miss, I think I need extra help with math," he admitted. Ms. Adams smiled warmly. "It's okay to ask for help, Thomas. We'll take it one step at a time." Together, they went through problems slowly. With her patience and his determination, Thomas began to understand. From that day, he stayed after school an extra hour every day. His confidence grew, but at home, the worries never left. On windy nights, he would hear his father's heavy footsteps returning late, empty-handed. His mother's hands never stopped stitching, though her eyes showed exhaustion. Dinner was often eaten in silence, broken only by the clinking of spoons and the sound of the waves. One night, as Thomas was doing homework, he overheard his parents speaking in hushed voices. "We still don't have enough for the rent," his mother said, her voice trembling. His father sighed deeply, mentioning the debt from repairing their old boat. They feared losing their home by the harbor. Thomas sat in his room, feeling as though a heavy stone pressed on his chest. He began taking odd jobs, helping neighbors haul nets, running errands for the local store, washing dishes at the diner. Every coin he earned went into a small wooden box under his bed. But the amount was far from enough. Then, one Saturday evening, on his way home from work, Thomas heard music drifting from the town square. A street musician was playing a lively tune on the guitar, drawing a small crowd. When they dispersed, Thomas noticed a flyer on the musician's guitar case: Coastal Town Talent Show, Grand Prize, $50. The number made his heart race. That amount could clear his family's debts, fix the boat, and give them breathing room. That night, he showed the flyer to his parents. They hesitated, afraid he'd be crushed if he lost. But Thomas's voice was steady. "I have to try. I'll be ready." Reluctantly, they agreed. Thomas threw himself into practice, spending every free moment strumming his guitar, perfecting each chord and lyric. On cold nights, he sat outside the wooden house, letting his music blend with the sound of the waves, holding on to the hope that this could be the change they needed. When the day of the talent show arrived, the town square sparkled with lanterns and flags. The smell of grilled seafood wafted through the air, and laughter mingled with the rhythmic crash of waves. Thomas arrived early, clutching his worn guitar, seeing other contestants in dazzling outfits. A flicker of doubt crossed his mind, but he reminded himself, he was here to give his all, not to compete in appearances. When his name was called, Thomas stepped into the spotlight. The audience hushed. He let his fingers touch the strings, his heart beat loud in his ears. Then music filled the air, gentle and deep. Like the tide, his voice told a story of the sea, of fishermen fathers, and the lighthouse that guided them home. It was, in truth, his family's story. The audience listened in stillness. A few nodded along, some had tears in their eyes. When the final chord faded, Thomas bowed. For a heartbeat, there was silence, then an eruption of applause and cheers. Stepping off the stage, he saw his parents in the front row, eyes shining with pride. In that moment, Thomas knew he had already won. When the results were announced, the grand prize went to a lively youth band. Disappointment briefly touched his heart, but he smiled, it didn't matter. Then, the host asked for quiet. An elderly fisherman stepped up and said, "Thomas may not have the trophy, but he gave us something far more valuable, a song from the heart that speaks of our lives by the sea." Applause thundered again. People began coming forward, placing bills, envelopes, and gift cards in Thomas's hands. No one had planned it, but the entire town was donating to help his family pay their debts and repair the boat. Thomas stood frozen, tears streaming down his face as his parents embraced him. In that instant, he realized true victory wasn't a prize, but love, unity, and trust. In the weeks that followed, laughter returned to their wooden home. His father's boat, newly painted, sailed out each morning and came back with nets full of fish. His mother no longer worked herself to exhaustion, and Thomas, whenever he picked up his guitar, remembered that night, when music became the bridge between his heart and the hearts of everyone in town. Seasons passed. Winter winds gave way to the gentle breezes of spring. Thomas still walked to school with Peter, now his closest friend. The fear of losing their home had vanished, replaced by warmth and stability. One evening, Thomas sat on a rocky outcrop, the guitar resting on his lap. As he strummed familiar notes, the salty wind carried echoes of that night, applause, cheers, and the glisten of heartfelt tears. He smiled, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would always find his way. For in his heart, there was a lighthouse, lit by love, hope, and the strength of a community that believed in him.